boondocking travel days, like, oh.
The past 5 months have been different. And now we're back to what we want to consider normal. So let me catch you up, if you haven't been watching our videos, on what we've been doing.
You can't park there!
In the past 5 months, we haven't touched our enduro bikes at all. And in fact, we've only been riding trials bikes, which has been absolutely phenomenal. While we didn't ride much, we rode as much as we could, and we even gave back and did some trail work for the BLM land in Upper Nestucca. We also did some home renovations, and of course we rode more trials, because why not? We have the trials bikes and they're a hoot. But it can't be all play and no work, so we did some work to the trailer, like added a cabinet and a freezer, and of course then more trials. We also bought a cargo trailer, which is something we've been wanting for a very long time, so that felt really good. We took it to Eastern Oregon almost immediately for a ride day, and here's the biggest project, is we added solar. A lot more solar. So much solar we had to build an entire roof rack to accommodate all of the solar that we wanted to put on the top of the trailer. There was a lot of late nights involved, and this was probably one of the biggest things that we've done to the trailer since we've had it. If there's anything that I have learned from posting RV build videos on YouTube in the last couple years, it is that there's always going to be that one negative Nancy who says, "That's dumb," or "Why did you do it that way?" And at the risk of sounding condescending, I really don't care. So I'm not going to go into specifics on how we built it or make a tutorial or anything like that, because this is what works for us. It's not going to work for everybody. Not every RV build works for every person, which is why there's so many different people doing different things.
So, we are on our way, and I am towing a trailer, and it's complete. Let me turn that down so I don't get copyright infringement. I have actually never towed a decent sized trailer before. I am in the back of the pack watching Taylor with the Intech. We just installed all the solar panels on the Intech, and we put that front air dam, that diffuser, up top because there was concern of the solar panels becoming a giant parachute. I am watching really closely the panels, and I don't see any flex in them or really any kind of vibration that would indicate that they're sad or unhappy or they're catching too much wind. So I think the diffuser's doing its job. Okay. Ooh, I want to cry because like the relief it is to be back out here, and also like just the fact that we made it is, I don't know, travel days are really hard, and that's one of the reasons that we don't do it, and we only go a couple times a year.
That went pretty well.
Yeah, that went well, and it's a huge relief to be not out there.
You did good.
That was terrifying. Oh, sorry.
Alright, we are day 3 of being off-grid. I have the lights off. You can hear the generator's going on. The generator is on in the background. And I know like our whole thing of putting all these solar panels was to like not have to run the generator. So the spot that we're currently in is partially shaded. Let me show you a little bit. There's been a couple issues with some draws. So our Starlink, if you are familiar with Starlink, they're huge power hogs. And we had an ice storm a couple months ago, and we've been plugged into shore power for months now, and Taylor had turned the ice melt on the Starlink, the heater, because we were, having snow and stuff, and unfortunately we forgot to turn it off, so it drained our batteries quite a bit because of the
Starlink having a heater on all the time, and we just have never recovered from that depletion. And only getting a couple hours of sunlight a day is really just kind of wearing it down. But like I said, it's charging to about 60%, and if we get it to 100%, then we'll be in better shape for the next few days.
It did turn out that we had a few wiring flaws with our solar panels, both in the way that they were wired and a small grounding issue. This completely fixed our solar panel problem, and in fact, we've been fully charging by mid-afternoon, even on the rainiest days. We have not had to run the generator since I filmed this, and this was about 3 weeks ago. So I am, let's get on the floor, getters. So I am by myself tonight. Taylor is in town. It has been pouring down rain, like stormy, like there was thunder earlier. We just had a little bit of like mixed precipitation falling. It's cold, it's yucky, so I've been inside most of the day. But I have had my sourdough start on the sourdough journey thing. And I killed my first starter. Like I tried to do it from scratch, and of course so anyways, I just bought a established dehydrated starter and started that a couple weeks ago. So I've been nurturing my little guy. Doesn't have a name because I can't think of a creative sourdough name for it, but look at that. It's been in the fridge for the last few days since we've been up here because I knew I was going to have the time to bake, so I finally had the time to bake today. So I'm going to do a focaccia, kind of sort of almost half-assed because I didn't want to wait a full like 2 days to bake bread, so I'm doing a second rise right now, and yeah, I'm just gonna pop it on the wood stove, see what happens. If it sucks, it sucks. It's just me. This is purely experimental. But yeah, I am alone, and I've been keeping the fire going all day, which has been difficult. Ugh. As soon as the weather was good enough to ride, I jumped at the opportunity to get back on the bike. So I did a couple of solo rides, and I don't really care to ride solo at all, so I usually take it easier than I would be, you know, in a group. Anything can happen in the woods, especially on a weekday when there's not a whole lot of people on trails. I really don't care to do crazy things. I did a lot of trail work. This is still the beginning of the season, so there's a lot of down trees, and so I was cutting down trees that I could easily get with my handsaw. I was enjoying riding my 300 so much that I have been neglecting riding my trials bike. So Taylor and I went to this little hard enduro section and worked on some obstacles. We both have been entering the intermediate class in our trials events that we do. Instead of the novice class, we kind of just jumped right into it since it's doable. This really cracked me up. So this group of guys stopped to watch me, and I was like kind of panicking the whole time, thinking, oh my god, what if I fall? What if I mess up? I didn't. I did dab, but you know, small potatoes. In true to me fashion, I cannot help but drop my bike in front of a crowd of people, but thankfully I just dropped it while attempting a crappy pivot turn. I really struggle with these flat tires for some reason. I just would kind of get wigged out about them, and then I would just lose all my momentum, and then I wouldn't get my back wheel up on them. So I took a lot of runs at it until I got it right 7 times in a row. On the other hand, struggles a lot less than I do on obstacles like this, mostly because of skill, and he's a much more skilled rider than I am, but also because he has a lot less fear of falling than I do, and he falls a lot less too. I tend to make dumb mistakes. This video, please consider subscribing and also liking this video. That would help us out a lot. Also, go check out my new podcast called Solitude and Single Track, where I talk a little bit more in depth about our lives living off-grid with our dirt bikes. It can be found anywhere you listen to podcasts from, and yeah, it would just be awesome to have more listeners, and I'm always open to suggestions. Anyways, until next time, guys.